Hello everyone, today we're back here with a new video. Today I'm going to talk about the new game Noctilunescent Before Dawn and what my thoughts are on this game. So if you want to skip all the explaining and go to my final verdict, I'll put the timestamp on the screen right now. So what do I like about this game? Well, first off, it has really nice aesthetics, music, CGs and illustrations. So you can see here, this is quite detailed actually. And if I open the character screen, you can see that they look quite nice, even so quite a bit of detail, and you have a lot of customization as well. For SSRs, you can customize how they look. So I'm always there for customization, as well as your main screen. You can either change it to different CGs you've unlocked, as well as having a portrait mode for you to place your favorite character if you don't have a CG for it. You can also change the clothing option here. I'll not do that for now. So the second thing I really like about this game is that there's a pretty forgiving gacha system. So let me open the gacha right now. So I'm not sure if this is only for the new games, because the new characters, because there isn't really any limited banners going on right now. But from what I've seen right now, if the limited characters are still like this, then it's a really forgiving gacha system. You can get an SSR and also a guaranteed SSR companion for 50 gacha draws, which I think I'm all there for it, because it allows player to get the characters they want and there's less of a random chance. And I'll be honest, I'll be more willing to spend money on the game this way. And besides from that, there is also this white flower that you can get from, there's a lot of ways to get actually, and you can get free temples for it, like free draws, and the rates are like the same as all the other banners that use premium currency. So I really appreciate that there is some kind of way for free-to-play players and new players to gain their progression without having to actually use their gold coins that they may be saving up for a new limited character. However, if the other new limited banners aren't this way, then it's going to drop a lot. So I'm just going to explain why. So there isn't a guaranteed pity for this game, at least from what I see. There is not. So you could go for 1,000 pools and not get the limited character if they don't set a guaranteed pity like this. So it really depends on what they do in the future. So if you're watching this like far in the future where they release limited characters and have a banner system, just comment down below and let everybody know, like the players who are on the edge. And the third thing that I really like is that the UI is pretty friendly. So I could go in the menu here, I could be in the middle of going between a battle, and then I realize, okay, I need to level up my character. I can just go here and then quickly go to my companions to edit it and level them up. And besides from that, for the stories, you need these special items to unlock the story. So if you run out of them, I'll just show you in a bit, they can actually teleport you right to the place where you can get them, and you don't really have to do anything else. So I'll just do that right here. So you see, they'll just show you where you can get them, and when you click on them, you can go straight there, which I find it's really helpful. And the fourth point that I want to make is that they have a unique story mode. So in other games, the stories will be muddled in with also the story battles, but here it's quite different. So you can experience like just pure story right here, and sometimes there is battles, but it's for the purpose of the story, so I think I can get it. But I just really appreciate that we can have like a bunch of story without having to go into battle every time. And even if we do, we have this thing that tells us what non-story it is. And for the inappropriate scenes, they also list it out here, so you can quickly skip over it if you don't want to look at it. Besides from that, they also offer some CGs as well and give you quite a bit of rewards for the free gacha pools. And let me bring myself to the final point that I really like. So there is this sweep option that allows players to go through the stages they want to farm ingredients for their characters really easily. For the fifth thing I like is that they offer you a lot of ways to save time. So your characters need ingredients, and you can farm the ingredients in these stages here. And for these stages, after you clear them with 3 stars once, you unlock the option to sweep them, which saves you a lot of time, because going through the battle does take quite a while, maybe 1 minute or 2. And they also have these special options for you to choose to whether you want to focus on unlocking your character's story more with these intimacy and relationship items, or you want to focus on some of the harder to get items here, which they allow you to get very easily without having to go with the RNG in the other stages. For example, these cards, I think there's like a 50% chance of you getting them when you go play on the hunt stages, which is basically all the battles that you will mainly be playing for to farm ingredients for characters. I find this really helpful. By the way, there's also these permanent stages for you to farm specific of these resources. For example, the energy you use to level up the character and some of the coins that you'll be using when you level up your character. And the final thing that I really like is that they allow you to get VIP experience for free. So I have not spent a dime in this game yet, but they already gave me 200 free VIP points, which I find quite nice for the free-to-play players. So now that I've talked about what I like about the game, there's some things I don't really like about the game as well. So the first thing is, with this developer Neversoft, their other game, What in Hell Was Bad, they had a really bad launch because there were so many bugs and the game would crash at random times as well. And it's pretty much the same thing here, but it's a bit better actually. There's not too much bugs and the crashes only occur like maybe once every half an hour or so, sometimes an hour. So I think it's at an acceptable amount, even though it would be best to not have any of them, of course. And the second point I want to prove is that the aesthetics in the battles, they don't really look that nice. So if you look at the character here, this will be how your character looks in the actual battle. I'll just show you straight up. So here you can see the battle screen. As you can see, it's pretty undetailed in my opinion. Even though there is a bit of shading, it just feels off when you compare it with the CG's aesthetics and art style and the ones in the character's illustrations. It all just feel a bit too cartoony for my liking, because all the other parts feel pretty detailed, and that's the main reason I really play this game. So that's something for you to consider. However, most of it is on auto battle and you might not really be looking at it anyways. You might be just doing your chores. So definitely something to consider if you really do enjoy looking at these auto battles. Okay, so for my next point I want to make is that I feel like there's too little stamina. So as you can see, to enter battle you need stamina, and this maximum capacity increases with the character level, but all I want to say is that in the beginning, when you're like a beginner, and I think this problem will stay up until endgame, is that you really need a lot of stamina to do anything. So let me just show you here. To level up your companions, you have to use a lot of materials actually. So if I want to rank it up, so you see I need 23 of these, like 12 of these. So the only way to get them is via either these specialized missions or these hunt stages which will open every day. However, these specialized things won't be opening every day. So you most likely will have to go to the hunt section to really gain these materials, and to gain one of these you have to spend 7 stamina. I know that seems quite little, but if you put into perspective that you might only have 120 maximum stamina if you go deeper into the game, you realize that just getting 1/5 of the required elements to level up your character, you'll already spend all your day's stamina, and by refilling it takes quite a while. As you can see, it takes around 7 to 9 hours if the progression thing is a bit different. Even though there are some replenishing items, I don't expect them to really give that much of these replenishing items anyway. And it's really, I feel like this will cost even more as I go deeper down into the end game and character costs more to level up. So this is one of them. And when you look at the affection, which you can unlock stories and intimacy with, you can actually see that you need to unlock it with the affection, and the only way to increase the affection is to be giving your characters these gifts that you can only get actually via these time-limited affection stages. So you can see for each character there's a different stage and you can get special gift items for them. And that needs to spend your stamina, and I just feel like it takes you back a bit because you really want to keep progressing in the main story while also unlocking the affection items for your characters. However, this really hinders the progress. I know there's going to be some free items that they're going to be giving, but there isn't too much of that. And if you really want to increase your character's affection in a steady pace, you really have to spend your stamina on this. And besides from that, the permanent stages to get your materials, it's quite costly in my opinion. So I don't think you can really complete them all 6 of these attempts in one run when your stamina is full. I know a lot of people are busy and they might only really log in twice a day like me, and it's less satisfying the fact that you can't really max out every opportunity you get. Even though I understand you don't really have to do that, it's just a matter of satisfaction. My fourth point that I want to bring up is that there's a lot of attribute debuffs in the stage. So let me open up the stage here for the guild errands. You can see here there's 4 elements in this game, and for 3 of the elements they'll have a huge debuff which decreases the battle power up to 50%, which I think is quite huge. If it's just a bit, I don't think there's going to be much of a problem, but when you decrease it by that much, I think that's when a problem arises. And when it goes up, like there's a buff for it, it goes 50% again. So this really incentivizes you to make a team for each of the elements actually, which, given the fact that you need to spend so much stamina on developing one character, it really has a really long progression time. I mean, if you're a casual player and you're fine with a bit of grinding and taking a month to really build out a team for everything, I don't think this will affect you that much because you're okay with progressing slowly with hitting paywalls and waiting for it. But this is just one point. And the second point is that there's an incentivized way for you to have to pay, and there's bridging a gap between pay to win and free to play, mainly because there's a multiplayer option called Arena here, where you'll be facing off against different players. And for the characters, they really lock some of the skill level up with the obtaining duplicates or shards of the characters. So let me just press on my SSR here. So if you want to level up this PvE or PvP skill, you will have to start up your character, which will require you to get a duplicate. And here is when the gap begins to see its effect, because as you know, pay to win players will get more duplicates of characters, and the stronger characters tend to be the SSR characters. So if you're not pay to win, you wouldn't be able to really progress that much in the arena, in my opinion. And besides from that, the VIP system also makes it have much more of a difference in the multiplayer aspect, because you can see the daily commission limit is 13 times, whereas it's only 3 times for VIP 1. That's a difference of up to 10 times, which I think is quite a lot actually. So that's something to consider too if you're a bit of on the competitive side. Other games like NU Carnival do not offer these multiplayer options, and it's purely a single player game, which I really appreciate, because sometimes the multiplayer aspect can really stress you out sometimes, and you don't really want to stress yourself out when you're playing a game, right? Okay, leading on to my next point, there's a lack of sweep tickets for new players. So as I've told you, you need to play some of the stages over and over again to get the material you want. But however, you need these sweep items to do so. And the only way for you to get them is via some special event rewards or the daily missions. And if you're a new player, you'll find that there's a really big lack of it, because you'll be clearing a lot of stages and you'll be leveling up quite often, which will give you a lot of stamina and you feel like you want to use it. However, because you're always leveling up and the amount of ways to get sweep tickets is quite limited for new players, you'll quickly run out of the sweep tickets and you'll have to go through it manually, which is going to take way longer than sweeping through it once. And you won't really be that satisfied if you don't play that much. I think it will have quite a big balance between those, and as you get deeper into the game, you'll really have to have that much stamina to spend anyways, so that won't be much of a problem in the later phases. But I'm sure that the most deciding factor if a player is going to keep playing is in the new player stage, so it's unsatisfying in that way. And besides from that, there's quite a limited amount of ways to obtain the premium currency after the main story ends. So of course the main story won't have like unlimited chapters, right? It will end at some point, and at that point forward, when you cleared all the stages once, you can't really obtain other gold coins. To be honest, when I'm a new player, I'm sure 60% of my gold coins are actually from the first time clear rewards, from completing the main story stages or the hunt stages. And the only other ways that are left for you to obtain your gold coins for your gacha are either through your, I think would be in the commissions and ruins, as well as the arena. Some of the other options that I think will be open for you to obtain more resources are locked right now. It's not open. But given the fact that another aspect of you to obtain golden coins is locked behind the multiplayer one, I think that is pretty unfair for the players who play casually and don't really enjoy multiplayer and about the meta. I think it's really not that nice in that way. And you don't really get too much from the daily missions. You do quite get a decent amount. I'm sure if you save for a month, you can really get 30 free draws, I think, because of the nice gacha system, if it does stay that way. it will be fine, but the fact that there's a limited amount of ways to obtain your limited currency, I just don't really enjoy it that way. Even with the battle passes as well, you don't really get that much. A Tendra is 2,500 gold coins, and you're only getting this little from these passes. I don't think it makes a significant impact. So here's TLDR. I think this game is quite nice if you are a story enjoyer and you enjoy going through the story and also having some sort of gameplay loop in there as well that satisfies yourself by maybe completing all the daily missions or some ways like that. I think it's quite nice in that aspect where there's good story building as well as there's really nice music and CG. However, it's quite troublesome to develop your characters to progress through the story, if you get what I'm saying, because of all of the other things that I've mentioned in the video. So that aspect, it will take you a bit more of the time as well, because for the auto battles, each stage normally would take you 2 minutes to clear, and in order to progress in the story, you'll have to go through the hunt, and to go through from 1 to 10, it's going to take you around 20 minutes. However, the story time is quite sufficient as well, I think. However, it's just something to take into consideration. You can't really just go for pure story without having to level up your characters, which I think is pretty fair. You have to level up your characters and progress in order to unlock new stories. The final thing is that if the gacha system remains as friendly as it is right now, with the guaranteed gacha character you will get and the free SSRs for this little amount of golden coins you're going to pay, as well as having this exchange system here which allows you to get an extra SSR. I mean, I'm all for good gacha systems. However, the thing is, the fact that it doesn't have a pity, that's quite concerning, because if one day they don't use this step up kind of gacha system, it's going to be quite worrying actually, because you won't know if all the gold coins you've saved up over the time, whether you actually get the character or not. So overall, it's a pretty standard game. It has its pros and cons. I think the main attractiveness of this game is it comes to its aesthetics, its story, and the main cons of this game come to its progression aspects as well as its coding aspects with the frequent bugs and crashes. And so that is my review of this new game, Noctilucent Before Dawn. I'm sorry if I'm not saying it right. So I hope you enjoyed the video and it helped you in some way or another in deciding of whether you should play this game. And I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.